Follow the link in the description for your chance to enter to win a free $50 Amazon gift card or your choice of awesome t-shirt from my friends at Ripped Apparel. All part of my 7K subscriber giveaway. Enter today. Not seeing my videos in your subscription feed? Make sure you've clicked the little bell next to the subscribe button to be notified of all my newest uploads. Hey, what's up, people? Pizzal here, and today I want to talk to you guys about Arrow Video's upcoming Blu-ray release for House and House 2, the second story, entitled House, 2 Stories. Now, this is the US release of this set, which contains just the first 2 movies. The UK release, on the other hand, contains all 4 House movies. But for the sake of this review, I'm just going to talk about House and House 2, the second story, the Blu-ray releases, the picture quality, the sound quality, the extras, etc., etc. But I also want to talk about House and House 2 because I've never really talked about any of the House movies on this channel, which is kind of a shame because House and House 2 in particular were constantly on cable television when I was a kid growing up, and I watched them constantly, particularly House 2, it seemed like. And that's because House and House 2 could be aired on cable television pretty much any time of day, any day of the week, whereas a movie like, say, Friday the 13th was usually relegated to the weekends and later at night. So I could catch House and House 2 on a Wednesday afternoon as soon as I get off the bus from school. Hey, here's House 2, the second story. And like I said, they seem to be on cable television constantly. The first House movie was released in 1986. It's based on a story by Fred Dekker of Monster Squad and Night of the Creeps fame. It's directed by Steve Miner. It's produced by Sean S. Cunningham. The music is composed by Harry Manfredini. The stunt coordinator is Kane Hodder. So you definitely have that Friday the 13th family element there. The movie's about William Catt, who plays a struggling author. He's dealing with PTSD not only from being a Vietnam veteran, but from having his son mysteriously disappear and then his wife divorcing him shortly thereafter. He inherits this huge home, he moves in, and not long thereafter he discovers that it's pretty darn haunted. And House is just really, overall, a pretty darn good movie. You have a really solid cast with William Catt, with George Wendt, with Richard Mall. Really good cast. The movie does an excellent job, I think, of balancing the horror and the comedic elements without, leaning too much to one side or the other. The creature effects in the movie are all done really well as well. Just overall, just a pretty darn fun movie. And it was a surprise hit in 1986. It debuted #1 at the box office. So, of course, Sean S. Cunningham wanted to capitalize on that success. And the very next year, House 2, the second story, was released. House 2 was written and directed by Ethan Wiley, who wrote the screenplay for the original House. It's basically the same story, only I think of House 2 in the same vein as other sequels like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 or Waxwork 2, in that they really just, they went the totally other direction from their originals. Whereas House did a really good job of balancing the horror and the comedic elements, House 2 is just pure comedy. And the kind of comedy that is so just kind of random and off the wall and absolutely wacky. You have a great cast in House 2. You've got Ari Gross, you've got John Ratzenberger, you've got Lar Park Lincoln, keeping it with the Friday the 13th family theme. You've got, I can't remember the actor's name, Jonathan Stark, who was in Fright Night. Great cast, good acting in the film. You got some nice creature effects also in the movie. And literally behind every door in this house is like a different universe. Like at one point they're back in prehistoric times, another time they're back in the Old West, another time they're in some sort of Mayan temple battling Incas. It's out there. There's a baby pterodactyl running around. There's a caterpuppy, part caterpillar, part puppy running around. You've got Royal Dano dressed as a zombie cowboy just chewing up the scenery. You've got Bill Maher thrown in there. For God's sake, it's a wacky, crazy movie. I can totally understand why I loved it so much as a kid, because it is so just weird and random. I don't like it as much now as I did as a kid, but it's still a lot of fun. Both House movies, House and House 2, are really fun movies. Now, I don't recall ever even seeing House 3 or House 4, so I have no recollection of seeing those movies. But House and House 2 definitely were big parts of my childhood, and I'm glad that I'm able to finally talk about those movies in a video, because this channel's been around since 2009, and I don't recall ever talking about the House movies, which, like I said, is a shame. If you're a fan of the House movies, you definitely want to check out this Blu-ray release. If you've not seen House and House 2, this is a great way to introduce yourself to those films, because House 2 Stories is loaded with extras. I took notes. There's a lot to sink your teeth into here, so please bear with me. On the House disc, it sports a 2K restoration of the film. The sound quality is fantastic, great sound quality. The picture quality on a couple of sequences, they were very bright. That's the word that comes to mind. Very, very bright. One sequence in particular, it was so bright to the point where it was almost on the verge of being kind of washed out. And now, from having seen House so many times on television and even renting it as a kid on VHS, it seemed to me like the movie was shot very soft. And by that I mean it had sort of this white glow about it. So I'm not sure if that had something to do during the restoration process to make those sequences so bright. I'm not sure. 85% of the movie looks fantastic. The restoration looks great. Just those sequences, and one in particular, very bright. As far as extras are concerned, we have a 1 hour and 6.5 minute making of documentary entitled Ding Dong, You're Dead, a brand new documentary on the making of House, featuring interviews with Steve Miner, Sean S. Cunningham, Ethan Wiley, Fred Decker, William Catt, George Wendt, Kay Lenz, Kane Hodder, and many more. Fred Decker discusses the genesis of House, how he came up with the idea for the film, but he was so busy working on Night of the Creeps and a Godzilla movie of all things for Steve Miner that he just didn't have time to take the story into a full-fledged script. Ethan Wiley discusses taking Decker's original idea and turning it into a screenplay. However, he wanted it to be more of a horror comedy, whereas Decker's original idea was more of a traditional, straightforward horror film. Miner discusses after Friday the 13th Part 3, he went to the Toho people and purchased the rights to make a Godzilla film, and he had tapped Fred Decker to write that movie for him, and that's how those two hooked up. Steve Miner discusses seeing the possibility in House as a way to sort of segue into other genres. It being a horror comedy, he thought it'd be a great way for him to be able to segue into maybe directing comedies and other genres in the future. William Catt and George Wendt discuss getting cast in the film and improvising a lot on the set. Catt calls the house set a house full of nuts. He says that the movie contains his favorite scene he's ever shot. It involves him and George Wendt, a pair of goggles, and a monster in the closet. Very nice sequence. They discuss the creature effects in the movie with the creature effects artist quite extensively. Kane Hodder discusses coordinating the stunts in the film and his responsibilities as the stunt coordinator on the set. Harry Manfredini discusses doing the score for the film and the differences between scoring a movie like House versus scoring a movie like Friday the 13th. Cunningham and Miner discuss the movie's success at the box office, as well as with critics, and the legs that the movie's had over the years and its lasting impact on all those that were involved in the making of it. They also discuss the potential of a House reboot. But very nice, over an hour documentary about the making of House. Anything and everything you possibly want to know about the making of House is in this making of. We also get a vintage making of featurette, which is about 24 minutes in length. It contains on-set interviews with Sean Cunningham, Steve Miner, William Catt, and Richard Mall. It includes a lot of behind-the-scenes footage and special effects setups. Between the hour-plus long new making of and this 24-minute vintage making of, you've got a feature-length making of documentary all about House. As I said, anything and everything you possibly want to know about the making of House is on this disc. We also get a still gallery, we get trailers, we get a teaser, and we get TV spots. We also get an audio commentary with William Catt, Sean Cunningham, Steve Miner, and Ethan Wiley. A very entertaining commentary with those four, I have to say. I love commentaries where it's just a bunch of guys sitting around talking about not just the movie, but things that were going on behind the scenes of the movie, things that were going on in their personal lives during the making of the movie. Very, very entertaining, fun commentary between those four. I don't hardly remember any moments of lag or any quiet moments or moments where they were just kind of watching the movie and not really talking about it. Very, very entertaining. One of the best commentaries I've sat through, one of the most entertaining commentaries I've sat through in quite some time. The disc for House 1 is loaded. Lots of great stuff on this disc. As for House 2, also it sports the 2K restoration sound quality. Perfect, just as on the first disc. The picture quality, very, very good. No bright spots on House 2, so picture quality and sound quality, both very good on the House 2 disc. As far as extras are concerned, we have a 57.5-minute making of documentary entitled It's Getting Weirder, The Making of House 2. It contains interviews with Sean S. Cunningham, Ethan Wiley, Fred Decker, Harry Manfredini, Ari Gross, Jonathan Stark, Lar Park Lincoln, Kane Hodder, and more. Wiley discusses having 2 weeks to write the script. House was a hit. Cunningham wanted to capitalize on that. He approached Ethan Wiley, said, "Hey, do you want to write part 2?" He said, "Sure." He goes, "Okay, you got 2 weeks." And so Wiley said, "Okay, I'll do it, but you got to let me direct the movie as well." Wiley and Cunningham discuss how they developed House 2 to be a standalone movie with new characters and a new story, and that the intent was to make the House series kind of a yearly anthology, where every year there'd be a House movie released. It'd be different characters, a different story, but they all take place inside of a haunted house, and you wouldn't know if it is a comedy, a horror, or a horror comedy until you were in the theater watching the movie. Interesting idea. They discuss trying to be innovative with the creature effects and animatronics on such a low budget. Ari Gross and Jonathan Stark discuss being cast in the film and not quite understanding the script when they first read it. I can totally understand why. They discuss casting Bill Maher and John Ratzenberger in the film, and Ratzenberger improvising a lot of his lines. They also swear up and down that they weren't their intent wasn't to cast a different Cheers cast member in every House movie, that it was totally a coincidence. Although if the yearly anthology House movies did happen, I would love to see the Ted Danson House movie, the Woody Harrelson House movie. That would have been pretty interesting, I do believe. They discuss working with Royal Dano, who great actor, had a huge career, appeared in lots of movies, did an excellent job in this movie behind all the prosthetics. It was still him. Great voice, great eyes, great actor, great performance. They discuss working with the Catter Puppy in the film quite extensively. Kane Hodder discusses doing the stunts in the film. Harry Manfredini discusses composing the score. They discuss the movie not doing so well at the box office, not doing so well with the critics, but how the film found its home on video and cable. Again, very detailed, very informative, anything and everything you'd possibly want to know about the House movies, or about House 2. We also get a vintage EPK, which is about 14.5 minutes in length. It contains on-set interviews with Sean S. Cunningham, Ari Gross, Royal Dano, John Ratzenberger, and Ethan Wiley. Very informative and very entertaining, particularly the interviews with Ratzenberger and Royal Dano. We get a still gallery, a trailer, and a TV spot. We also get an audio commentary with Ethan Wiley and Sean Cunningham. This one not quite as entertaining as the commentary for House 1. This commentary, they discuss a lot of technical aspects of making the movie on such a tight budget and such a short schedule. A lot of talk about the budget, a lot of joking about the budget for the movie. Not quite as entertaining, but still a fun, informative commentary with Ethan Wiley and Sean S. Cunningham. I'm not sure if the commentary on House was a new commentary or not. I know the commentary here for House 2 is not a brand new commentary because they discussed Jason X during the commentary and that it is an upcoming movie. So definitely not a new commentary here for House 2. But again, lots of stuff on these discs for House and House 2. Anything and everything you'd possibly want to know about the making of House and House 2 between those very long making of documentaries, the vintage making of documentaries, and the commentaries. Anything and everything you possibly want to know about the making of House and House 2 Second Story are right here. If you've not seen House and House 2 The Second Story, I highly recommend that you do. This Blu-ray release is a great way to introduce yourself to those films. If you're a fan of House and House 2 The Second Story, you definitely want to look in to getting House 2 Stories. Yeah, I highly recommend it. Let me know your thoughts on the House movies in the comment section below. What's your favorite House movie? Do you recall at least the first 2 House movies being on cable television all the time if you're around my age range? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you've not entered my 7K subscriber giveaway to win a free $50 Amazon gift card or a couple of really cool shirts from my friends over at Ripped Apparel, definitely do so today. That link is in the description. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up. If you're not following me on social media, those links are in the description. They're also right around here. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and until next time, peace. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.